This is a 2008 GMC Yukon Denali with a 6.2 in it. Now, one of the issues I'm going to set forth in diagnosing is the backup camera is not working. This vehicle has 82,000 miles on it, I think. I've got the vehicle parked on a level surface and the wheels blocked so it doesn't take off while I'm going in reverse and the motor's not running. I'm going to disable the headlights too. I've just put it in reverse and this is what I'm getting. Blank screen. A black screen most always definitely means the camera's bad. Rear camera modules underneath the passenger front seat. The pin 1 and 2 are blue and pink. The blue wire is the backup light signal. The pink wire is the power supply for the unit. And then pin 3 is black with a white tracer. It's the ground for the unit. I did see a couple wires pulled up out of the harness here. But both those wires have 12 volts. The blue and the pink wire have 12 volts on it when it's in reverse. So I believe it's getting powered. And if a wire didn't get broke, going back to the camera power supply. Probably got caught with a shop vac hose or somebody's detailing it. Maybe, I don't know. I'll take the trim panel off the lift gate and have a look around. The camera's right above the license plate. And I seen water dripping off of it from the dew this morning, so it's probably a target to have a problem. I don't know if it's got some moisture in it or not. Take this inside trim panel out. There's a forks bit there and here, and this strap. At least get it down far enough to deal with it. I'm going to take a T30 Torx bit and take this Torx bit out of this hand hold back here and this strap hole. Pop this glass open and need to get these plastic rivets out of here. Just push the centers down and then pull them out of there. And then when you go to stick them back in, pull the heads up out of the top, push them in there, and then push the center back down flush with this outer perimeter. Okay, now need to pop all the clips loose on the skin. Open the lift gate up. I got popped all these clips loose. Now I just need to slide the whole panel forward up off of that glass lock up there. Catch any stray clips that might fall out. Okay, now I'm looking at the workings back here. And once you get in here and got the panel off, this wiring with this blue shielding on it is the camera wiring. The orange wire is the power for it, and the tan with black tracer is the ground. And I stuck a pin in each end and each wires and checked it. It's got voltage going back to the camera. So at least the power and ground isn't broken in here anywhere. Now the white wire is the video out. So maybe we can do something with that. Still need to get access to the camera. There's a 10mm nut holding the camera's mounted in the plastic cover over top of the license plate. Got a handheld camera here. It's just like a borescope to look at engines with, and it has a extension jack on it. Now look at the screen. And I'm going to touch this RCA jack that's putting out a video output. Hi, how you doing? I was using this white wire as a video signal, and then this, oh, they're calling it a gray wire on the end, would be like the neutral for the video, and the white wire. Just touch anything putting video out across this, and it shows up there, and the camera's got ground and power to it. I had to hold the ends of these studs inside with vice grips while gear wrench was on the nut, and then back them off as loose as I could. And I took a Dremel tool and cut the studs off. Cut them off 2 on either side, and pop these plastic pins on the corners, and you can slide it off one side or the other. The slots are open on one side facing in, and they're open the other way facing in, so just take 2 of them out on either side, or cut 2 of them off on either side, whichever 2 you want to do, and then slide it to that side after you get these clips up out of these corner holes. And there's the back of the camera. There's a plug-in I was interested in. So I'm going to see if there's a problem with this plug-in to the camera. The plastic valiance around the camera is plastic welded. Looks like they had 4 pins sticking up through the plastic and melted them down. And the plug-in was dry inside. Okay, I had 6 bolts in the first 2 pins. The orange wire and the white with black tracer. Now I hooked my video output up to the 2 wires that should lead up to the video module, and wasn't getting nothing, so I decided to ohm the 2 wires to the plug-in that I know that it works on inside, and video neutral or ground or whatever are open. So I was kind of looking to harness over. I see some green right there where it passes through the body. There's just all kinds of green falling out of there. Oh yeah. Yep, there's some trouble in there. Well, I'm going to repair the harness and see if this camera survived the onslaught. That's nice. It really is. I unplugged the inside harness and then hooked it from all the clips that guide the wire. Fed it through this hole. And I've been supporting this side of the beauty cover with this wire in this hole to keep it from banging around against the paint. Now I'm going to take this harness apart. Right there at that rubber grommet is where it was heat up. Just keep in mind this outfit is a painted surface and should be treated as such. Set it on something that won't scratch it up. Okay, I took a razor blade and just lightly skinned the cut through here, not to get into anything. That's nice. Not that it's going to hurt this one any. Just full of water in this harness. It may need a new harness. Looks like the problem is the gray wire coming from the camera turns into shielding exposed copper wire to the elements, and it's deteriorated and it's carried through the shielding on the outside to the plug-in. And when the shielding rotted, the camera didn't have one of the paths that needs to run the video. This is the transition where the gray wire turns into the shielding, and then it's the other transition where the shielding turns into the gray wire. And that's where it was 8 in 2. So I'm just going to splice the gray wire to gray wire, and this other end I'll just wrap it around the shielding. The blue looking stuff is electrical shielding interference from other electrical things that might distort the camera view. And then continue on about its business. Went ahead and soldered this gray wire back together. Pulled it out of the sheathing and cut the excess off. I just used a ohm meter to verify this connection to the inside of the tailgate to the camera gray wire connection. Here, they, like I say, they turn into this strand wire, and I just cut that out and just use a piece of sandpaper to clean the wire a little bit, some flux, and a soldering iron, and solder it together. Slipped a piece of heat shrink tubing on it before I started. Slide that over it. Just shrink it. Waterproof. Now I'm just tape the harness back up and put some corrugated stuff back on it. I took an ohm meter and ohmed both of these ends. One's the camera plug-in, one's the harness plug-in inside the tailgate. Both the last pins are the gray wire. What was open now reads continuity through it, so I'm going to plug it in just to test and make sure the camera is still functional and or not damaged. Well, the video circuits are working back here now, but the camera isn't putting out. I'm getting 5.7 volts between this ground and hot wire to the camera, and my scope works on these wires at this plug-in, so the camera should be putting out, but it isn't. So I'm going to assume the camera, I don't know if I can take it apart and clean it out or not, or whether it's damaged. Let's see, I guess. Anytime to activate the camera, you have to have the vehicle in reverse with the ignition on, but not the engine not running. So if you're testing it, be sure and block the wheels so it doesn't run away. I've got it in backup switch on, and they're dead screen up there. Looks like red and black is the power and ground for the camera. And yellow and white are the video feed. The yellow is the video feed positive, and the white is the neutral, or gray wire. And this has a part number on it too. Another problem I've seen with this camera, I clipped the wire harness out of it. Several of the pins were rotted out, corroded out. Inside of the connector. 3 of them. So the camera's done. One of the screws broke off inside of it. So that didn't do it any good. All I need to do is mount this with the label opposite of the license plate lights. I did notice the old one had a spacer stuck on it, so I'm going to have to transfer it to this one. The camera doesn't protrude out the hole right. Without that spacer on it. So the screws that came with it are going to be useless without longer screws. I'm repairing this valance, goes over top of the license plate with the camera for the 08 Denali. I'm just taking some body clips. I took a drill and drilled into the secondary reinforcement back here, and I'll be sticking body clips into it to mount it back on there. But I did have to grind one side down pretty thin to get it to fit in there good. But that should work out alright, and then I'll be using 10mm bolts and I'll have to silicone these holes in the lift gate. And this is where the camera mounts. All body clips are mounted. It's looking good. Although this one in the middle here, you just want to use a bolt long enough that it don't bust the brace underneath. So I did cut a little relief notch in case one went a little far. This one has some more clearance. Plus to run a drill, you can run a drill into that other one to make a relief if you're going to put longer bolts in it. how to install a new camera. Plug it in. Looks like it's just about in business. The camera has it right side up and upside down, so be advised. Looks like the label faces up. That's with the label with the part number on it facing up. It's upside down. It's not. Put it in reverse. Yep. Man in business. Good enough.